So there I was, eating my pho, like a normal hoe, like a person you know. I heard these people talking about this shooting in Florida. And it was a big old fat black chick, and she said, and guess what the race of the shooter was? And then she went on about how border security is useless. What are we trying to protect? The white people are all the bad guys. It rose a point to me. You know, I think there's a lot more gang violence than there are mass shootings by pissed off white guys on SSRI inhibitors, or SRI. You know what I'm talking about, those pharmaceutical drugs that make you feel like you're a horse about to get neutered. Special K is a horse tranquilizer. It's not a pharmaceutical drug, but the feeling that it imparts of just not caring tends to be in large part the sort of effect that is sought through pharmaceutical solutions, which instead of dealing with the root problem a person has, instead try to turn off the warning light. You know, you get a headache, you take an aspirin, the headache goes away, but what caused the headache didn't. You get emotionally depressed, you take Xantax or whatever, and the things that were depressing you, they don't go away, but you don't feel as depressed even though you have to deal with them. You feel nothing, and then you go shoot something up. I don't know what causes shootings. They're sad, they're terrible, you know. I don't, it's a tragic thing that shouldn't be happening. But you know what? You've almost got a higher chance of being struck by lightning. I mean, as bad as shootings are in this country, they are a drop in the bucket, like literally less than that. There are more fatalities on the interstate from driving every year than from shooting. 60% of fatalities from shooting come from people who just kill themselves, which is sad and terrible. The majority of the other 40% come from gang violence, and only an itty bitty percentage, less than just a few thousand, throughout over 325 million people in this country, come from shooters going about schools or nightclubs or what have you, and shooting stuff up. Very, very few. And everybody loses their mind. Here's the deal. Okay, so yeah, maybe there have been a bunch of white school shooters. There have been some Muslim ones too out here in California that the media seems to forget about. That doesn't mean white people are the only people shooting folks up. It's not a race issue. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, Chinese, Mexican, Asian, or some green-skinned, red-headed broad out of Star Trek episode. The issue is not your ethnicity, it's your humanity. The human condition is replete with tragedy perpetuated by other humans. That is, mark it, totally unnecessary. Now, I think these things are tragic, but they're not as bad as they could be. They're not only not as bad as they could be, but they're not as bad as they're represented. They're horrible that people die and get shot, but for goodness sake, 325 plus million people in the country. Less than 40,000 die from firearms every year. It's something like 33,000. 60% of those are suicide. There's accidents as well. There's manslaughter and murder. There's gang violence, which is the vast majority of them beyond suicide. And then the tiny statistic is the school or the mass shootings. It's ridiculous that everybody goes so crazy over these things. And you notice it tends to be a cyclical issue that comes and goes and comes and goes. For a while, everybody's crazy about guns, and then they forget about it. Then there's a shooting, and everybody's crazy about guns, and then they forget about it. See, what's happening here is the media is deliberately portraying things disproportionate to the reality. Some crazy loon hits his 40s and decides to murder people in a small town. That's terrible, but all of a sudden it's this killing spree that's endemic to white people. No, it's just some loon in his 40s. You know, he's got a midlife crisis and does something terrible. That's a better explanation than some racial component. There's a documentary in England, it's a BBC documentary, which describes psychopathy, those who have become psychopaths, as predisposed toward becoming a sociopath or a psychopath. Doesn't exist. No. You, me, everyone has the ability to do horrible things without emotional response. Not everybody does those things. psychopaths, sociopaths, these people aren't born that way. This is another form of victimhood. It's another way of passing the book. It's another way of putting an aspirin on a headache, you know? Addressing the symptom, the warning light, rather than addressing the cause. If you get a warning light in your car, you put a piece of tape over that warning light, your engine's going to break down, it's going to seize up, and you could have had it fixed for $50 if you had just gone and gotten a spark plug replaced or something. I know, I deal with these kind of things all the time. What we're doing as a society is, instead of acknowledging legitimate issues that have a root cause which needs to be addressed, we try and tape a Band-Aid on it, and it doesn't work. All right, well, I didn't mean to go all hardcore on you. I wrote 8 articles. I got my battery fixed. I had some delicious pho, and I might go to a mic tonight. I might not. I'm still not decided on that. I was going to do a funny bunch of accent videos, but I prayed over a coin and flipped it on each of them, and it came up tails, so I deleted the Sons of Guns, and you'll never see them now. But I did do this one, so hopefully it's enjoyable. Hopefully it's food for thought. Look, a border wall is important. 116 billion a year are lost by those who illegally enter this country and use our resources. Thousands die through knifings at the hands of those such as MS-13 on an annual basis because of illegal immigration. There's over 11 million. Some people say there's 20, some people say there's 5. I'm thinking there's more rather than less. I'm not against Hispanics or Latinos. I'm against illegal immigration anywhere in the world. I want migrants. I want people to come and be naturalized citizens. That's good for the economy. People who come and don't pay taxes and send money out of the country and ignore our laws and leech off the welfare system, they're not good for the economy. We need a wall. I'm pro-wall. These people are going to say that because some crazy dude shot people up in Florida, that a wall's no good. There's not even any logic there. It's people looking for a reason to vindicate a perspective they already had rather than thinking it through critically. I'd like to be more funny in these things. I don't know what to do. I've got to tell you, it's very strange what comes out of my face sometimes. God bless y'all. Au revoir.